by now you've more than likely heard, seen, thought about ranking in ChatGPT, in Gemini, in Perplexity. In these AI overviews, you've probably seen your competitors ranking when you ask specific questions, and you want to know why, how, and get in on some of that action. So for what feels like forever, the entire game has been about one thing, and that's getting to the top of Google. It's been fairly simple. But what if I told you that that's not the whole story anymore? And this AI thing is actually a brand new frontier for getting seen, for getting traffic. And it plays by a totally different set of rules. We're talking about getting your stuff cited directly inside AI answers. And I want you to really think about this for a second. Is your content invisible to AI? Seriously, you could be absolutely crushing it with your SEO, top of the rankings, everything looking great. But when someone hops on ChatGPT or Perplexity and asks a question right in your sweet spot, does your brand pop up? Are you basically a ghost to this new way of people finding information? 90%, let that sink in for a second, 90%. Recent studies are showing that a whopping 90% of the sources that ChatGPT actually cites, they come from pages that are outside of Google's top 20 results. That changes everything. So it's no longer about climbing the search rankings anymore. The new game is about becoming a source the AI itself actually trusts. We're talking about getting your brand, your content cited directly inside the answers from big players like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Perplexity. And let me tell you, this is fast becoming one of the most valuable kinds of traffic that you can get. It's super high intent. I mean, this is literally where your audience is going to get their questions answered right there and then. And this really shows you the massive shift in thinking that we need. The old way, traditional SEO, it was all about keywords, backlinks, and climbing that ranking ladder. And that's not to say it's not important. It absolutely is. I genuinely believe it's all about the holistic picture and covering all angles. But the new way, let's call it AI optimization, is about a different kind of beast. It's about building trust, proving your brand is a real, verifiable entity, and setting up your content so a machine can actually read it, understand it, quote it. If you want to win this game, you've got to start thinking like the AI. See, these models, they're not just dumb web crawlers anymore. You should think of them more like a super fast research assistant. They're scanning the entire internet, but they're not just looking for keywords. They're looking for credible, well-organized info that gives a straight answer to a person's question. They care way more about the clarity and the trust than how many times you stuffed a keyword on a page. Those days are long gone. And they make these decisions based on what I like to call the 4 pillars of AI trust. It breaks down like this. First, you've got authority and trust. Can the AI even figure out who you are and if you're legit? And then there's structure and accessibility. Is your content laid out in a way that a machine can actually process? A third is relevance in context. Are you just scratching the surface, or do you provide real depth? And finally, recency and updates. Very important, lesser considered. Is your information from this year or from, a decade ago? Some old blog post or Reddit post that you've just regurgitated. So let's dig into how we can build each of these pillars up. It all starts with becoming what's called a trusted entity. Before an AI is ever going to quote you, it has to be able to answer 2 simple questions. Who are you, and why should I believe what you're saying about this topic? It's kind of like building up your official digital ID card for the AI to check. And this leads us right to this really core idea, entity authority. But don't let that term scare you. An entity is just a thing, a person, a company, your brand. Authority is just the AI's confidence level that your entity is a good source on a topic. The higher your entity authority score, the better your chances are of getting that coveted citation. Simple as that. So the big question is, how do you actually build authority? Here are the foundational steps. You want to start with a Wikidata entry. Think of it like Wikipedia's nerdy structured cousin. It's a database of facts that AI absolutely loves and trusts. After that, you've got to do a bit of housekeeping. So go through all your directory profiles. I'm talking social media, industry sites, the whole shebang, and make sure they're perfectly consistent. This is the key. It's called NAP, name, address, phone. Make sure they are consistent across all directories. The AI is like a detective. It needs to see the same number, same details, same description everywhere to know that you're a legitimate person or entity. And here's another key piece of the puzzle, the power of association. There's a concept called co-citation. You know the old saying, you are the company you keep? Well, it's true for AI too. When your brand gets mentioned in the same breath as other big credible names in your field, articles, interviews, the AI notices that connection. Your authority literally gets a boost just by being associated with them. Okay, so the AI knows who you are, it trusts you as an entity. Now we have to talk about the content itself, because once it trusts who you are, it's got to be able to understand what you've written. And this is where the actual structure of your pages becomes absolutely critical. You have to remember, AI models love order and they love logic. A super clean, logical heading structure, you know, your H1s, your H2s, H3s in hierarchy. It's like giving the AI a perfect roadmap to your content. Your H1 is the destination. This is what the page is all about. The H2s, those are the major highways. They're the main points of the article. And the H3s, these are like the local streets. These are the nitty-gritty details in examples. This clean hierarchy makes it incredibly easy for the AI to understand your argument and pull out a direct quote. Want to know a secret weapon for this? FAQ sections. Seriously, they are absolute gold mines for getting AI citations, and think about why. It's because they perfectly mirror the exact question and answer format of an AI chat. When you give your short, factual, super clean answers to commonly asked questions in your field, you're basically spoon feeding the AI perfectly citable little nuggets of information. And please do not sleep on the technical stuff. I'm talking about the schema markup. If your FAQ section doesn't have schema markup, you're missing everything. It's basically not worth doing. And the schema markup is just a little bit of code that acts like a label. It's basically telling the AI what your content is about. But the impact is massive. Data from a recent study showed that pages with the right schema got cited about 40% more often. That's a huge advantage that you cannot afford to ignore. So what kind of content does it actually want to cite? The keyword here is unique value. It's not looking for rehashed, reanimated, or any kind of stuff. It's prioritizing things like original data. It's like, did you run the study yourself? Did you do your own survey? It loves comprehensive resource guides that cover a topic from A to Z. It looks for real expert commentary on what's happening right now. And it loves detailed case studies with actual numbers. This is the stuff that screams expertise. But here's the thing. This isn't a set it and forget it kind of deal. It's not in the slightest. Getting cited by AI is a long game. It's a marathon, not a sprint. It means that you have to have a consistent strategy for tracking if you're even showing up, for keeping your content fresh, and for adapting as these AI platforms inevitably change and evolve. So let's talk about recency for a second, because this is a huge one, a huge trust signal that a lot of people don't prioritize. Think about it. An article with great info, but from 3 years ago, is probably not going to get cited. But one that was updated last month, that's a prime candidate. You need to make this a regular habit. Go through your most important content, update any old stats, any facts. Make sure you clearly show the last updated date right on the page, and you need to do that with metadata. Okay, so how do you even know if any of this is working? You have to track it. The simple way to start is just by manually going to these AI platforms and asking questions that you should be the answer to. But if you want to get serious, you're going to need to look at some of the emerging tools out there. So companies like Conductor or SEMrush, they're building out platforms specifically designed to monitor how often you're cited in AI answers. And here's a really important piece of nuance. Not all AIs are created equal. They have different personalities, so to speak. So ChatGPT really likes formal data and heavy sources. Claude, on the other hand, is all about clear, logical, and safe writing. Perplexity is obsessed with verifiable data and direct links back to the source. And Gemini, well, still leans pretty heavily on some of those traditional SEO signals. So the big takeaway here is that you might need to tweak your approach depending on which AI you're really trying to win over. And when you boil it all down, it really comes to this. This whole strategy is not not about finding some secret trick or a temporary loophole. The brands that are going to dominate in this new AI-driven world are the ones that take a holistic approach, consistently publish clear, reliable, and super well-structured content. In a weird way, it's kind of like a return of the basics, just being a great source of information. So I'm going to leave you with this one final thought. For the last 10 or 15 years, the goal was simple. It was be searchable. That's still true, but now you have to consider, is my content citable?